So yeah, part 3, the Valley of Yahawahshapat, the Valley of Decision. Uh, had a little distraction with the iPhone, but it don't matter. The word is going to come out regardless. Every day the word is going to come out. The Valley of Yahawahshapat, the Valley of Decision, Shapat, Judgment, World War III, and all of the other scenes and all of the other steps that's going to amount to the final judgment, which is Yahawahshai Hamashiach and the 144,000 coming to take back what is rightfully and righteously theirs. So yeah, man. So Israel versus Iran versus Israel. You know, the least of the flock. Yahweh is pulling the jaws of these nations. He's Yahweh, and that basically means Yahweh. He's going to make these nations war. He's going to make these nations war to bring forth prophecy. And just like when Yahweh Shai returns, according to 2nd Esdras 13, like 5 through 12, Yahweh is going to make these heathens, and it's not just going to, that army is not even going to be just filled with heathens. You're going to have some Israelites in those armies, and they're going to be face to face with their Creator, face to face with their Maker. How stupid are you, Israelites? Those that have pledged allegiance to the beast. When Yahweh Shai returns with the angels and 144,000 and the 1/3 citizens, or chiefly the 144,000 and the angels and Yahweh Shai, you're going to be face to face with your Creator, fighting against your Creator. But Yahweh, just to bring in the parallel that I'm trying to articulate, Yahweh is making these nations war, just like Yahweh is going to make these nations fight his son, Yahweh Shai, 2nd Esdras 13, where he says they were scared, these heathens. And I can't even just say the heathens or the Gentiles, because you Israelites are going to be within these armies. So the heathens and the Israelites and these armies are going to be scared to fight Yahweh Shai and the angels and the 144,000. But they're going to fight. Yahweh is going to put it in their mind. He's going to put it in their heart, their spirit, to fight. That's why it says in 2nd Ezra 13 or 2nd Esdras 13, they were scared, but they did fight. They were scared, but they did fight. So, because it's prophecy. Yahweh controls everything, like I brought out in there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which proves that Yahweh controls all the spirits. Let's grab that too, Sirach. Yahweh controls all the spirits, man. Sirach 18, 1 through 3. It says, he that lives forever. That means immortality. And we only know that that's Yahweh Shah lives forever too, but and the angels. But this is going into Yahweh, the Father. It says, he that lives forever created all things in general. It says, Yahweh, or the Lord, only is righteous, and there is none other but he. It says, who governs the world with the palm of his hand. And here's the point. Here's the point. In all things obey his will, for he is the king of all, by his power dividing holy things among them from profane. So that's the catch, that's the drift. These nations, even if these nations don't want a war or commit World War III, they're going to commit World War III. Even when Yahweh Shai returns and these nations are not going to want to fight Yahweh Shai and the angels and the 144, they're still going to fight. Yahweh is going to pull put the hooks in their jaws. Yahweh is going to call the least of the flock. Why? Because all spirits obey Yahweh Bahashem Yahawahshapat. That's just what it is. So the third world woe, man, that third world woe, the third world woe. Let's grab it. Let's grab it. I believe that's Revelations. Yahawahshapat. And I be saying that too. I usually be saying that sometimes, man. Like Yahawahshapat. Whenever I call on the name of Yahweh, I say Yahawahshapat. Yahawahshapat. This is third world woe. Bring this lesson out before it starts raining too bad. Revelations. I just need the third world woe. They give me everything else except the specific scripture. The third world woe. Meanwhile, you just got people just living their daily. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Meanwhile, you have people just living their daily life, going about their business, being ignorant to the factuals. And we can't even blame them, man. The prophets, we can't blame y'all. Those that's in the know from the house of Judah and the house of Israel, we can't even blame you because that wasn't your lot. This is a movie. Everybody is playing their lot. This thing is going to, it's going to sneak up on them for those that's not in the know. But you even have these heathens, these Gentiles that's in the know too. This is why you have this thing, this prepper. You got all of these preppers, the prepper community. It's a big community, man, these preppers. But even then, how can you prep for something in which the Bible, which Yahweh says that there's going to be something that's going to hit the earth that never has hit the earth before? That's pertaining to Jeremiah 37, Daniel 12:1, which is called Jacob's trouble or Israel's trouble. But honestly, everybody is going to be in dire straits. Yeah, the Israelites, chiefly the Israelites that the disobedient Israelites, the 2/3, because Yahweh, he controls, like we went into Sirach, there be spirits created for vengeance, destruction, judgment. Yahweh is not going to put his judgment on his righteous children, those that obey, and which he can. I gave you the example with Job. Job and many more. But this time around, he's going to protect his elect. He's going to protect the elect. And Jacob's trouble, Israel's trouble, is really going to be geared for the disobedient Israelites and you heathens. I don't know why the fellow prophets, they only believe that it's just Israel. These heathens are going to be in Jacob's trouble too. These Gentiles are going to be in Jacob's trouble too. You ever seen the movie Purge? You seen the movie The Book of Eli. You seen the movie The Road. Everybody is going to be caught up in this, this apocalyptic end time ordeal. But it's going to be more geared against Jacob. But these heathen are going to be in it as well. But bringing it all the way back home, the third world woe. the third world woe. It says the third world woe. And that's what's coming down the pike. That's what's here. Israel strikes Iran. And they did that because they thought America was going to back them. But it's only so much you can do. It's only so much you can continue to do to a person before they finally, flip out, do what need to be done. And Iran already said that they're going to retaliate, because I believe Israel has killed like 2 of their major governors or political important people or whatnot, whatever. So, that's more blood spilled, more war. And, what's the name want to play games? Chat want to play games with the third world woe. So let's look it up. Let's go to Google. All right, let's go to Google. Third world woe. Third world woe. The valley of Yahawahshapat. The valley of Yahawahshapat. So when we prophets, apostles, teachers, scholars, whatever, of the house of Judah, of the house of Israel, when we say that World War III is coming, you best to believe it, because it's prophesied. Meanwhile, you got everybody else just in the world going on with their daily, which is nothing wrong with that to an extent. But this thing is going to hit them like a ton of bricks. It's going to hit those people like a ton of bricks, because they're not spiritually, their spiritual eyes is not open. They just go along to get along, and that's not their lot. When you really understand this thing, you'll realize that everybody has their lot. Everybody has a role. Everybody has a lot. And that's just what it is. But Revelations 18, World War III, starting at verse 4, it says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, 'Come up out of her, my people.'" This is the elect. Only the elect is going to take heed of this. It says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, 'Come up out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her iniquity or sin.'" Pride month. It is June. You got Pride month. You got that's sin. You can eat pork. You can eat lobster. You can eat shrimp. That's sin. Women can wear all type of clothing. No modest apparel. That's sin. You men going around,
For all nations whore drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
You men going around, fornicating, not marrying. That's sin. Vice versa for the women. Lies, deceit, murder, sin. Not keeping the laws, man. Not keeping the laws of the Bible, man. It's sin. It's really what it is. Making money your God. You'll be surprised how many people make money their God. That's idolatry. These false religions. Idolatry. That's sin. Like I said, man, it's a sin country. A lot of sin. It says, "For her sins have reached into heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled, fill her double." It says, "How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she says in her spirit, I sit as a queen, I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly destroyed, burnt with fire. For strong is Yahweh who judgeth her. And that's Babylon. That is America. Revelations 18 is talking about America. Because when this valley of Yahawahshapat, this valley of decision, when Yahweh pleads for his people and bring all these nations to war, World War III, he's going to take out Babylon, which is America. This is why Yahweh says Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. And you see Trump, Donald Trump, he wants to build the Golden Dome. And like I said, you know what, that's smart. You people may not like Donald Trump, but he's pretty damn smart. I give him that. He's way smarter than that Joe Biden, or Joe Biden rather. He's way smarter than that Joe Biden. But even then, the Golden Dome is not going to work. It says, Revelations 18:4 says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come up out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached into heaven, and Yahweh has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she says in her mind, I sit as a queen, I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, famine, all of the pestilence that's spoken of in Ecclesiasticus 38 or 39:28, the spirits that are created for vengeance. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication. And the kings of the earth is basically all of the other nations. NATO, UN, the Western conglomerate, if I pronounced it right, conglomerate. I don't know why it's such a tongue twister. Conglomerate. The Western conglomerate of these nations, these Western nations. These are the kings of the earth who has committed fornication with Babylon, America, and when it falls, they're going to be mourning. It says, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off of the fear of her torment, saying, at last, that great city, America, that mighty city, sin country, for 1 hour is your judgment come. So it's going to take 1 hour for Yahweh to do his business with old sweet America. And let's find out why, well, I explained it in the last the last video before it cut off. Yahweh is mad with these heathens, with these Gentiles, because what they have done to you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, whose fathers go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Psalms 83, they have taken crafty counsel. Joel chapter 3, they have sold his silver and his gold. They have removed us far from our borders, which is Jerusalem, which is Israel. These nations have lived in ease. These heathens, these Gentiles have lived in ease and luxury and comfort and wealth, preferably off the back of the Israelites. These heathens, these Gentiles have lived in ease, comfort, luxury, riches, wealth, prosperity, abundance off the backs of the Israelites. This is why Yahweh is angry. And he even says it, man. He says it, I was sore displeased. Let's grab it. I was sore displeased with the heathen. I was sore displeased with the heathen. Let's grab that. He says he was sore displeased with the heathen. Remember, he told us, man. He told us in Baruch chapter 4 that you Hispanics, you know, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, etc. You blacks, Haitians, Jamaicans, and you Brazilians, Islanders, all those that go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All of you Israelites that's scattered according to James 1:1. And those that's in Africa, scattered. You know, he basically was displeased with that, man. And basically in Baruch 4, he said that we wasn't sold off for our destruction. We was sold off because we angered Yahweh, roughly paraphrased. And Baruch 4, the Baruch 4, that prophecy tells you everything, you know, about the Israelites being scattered through the four corners. He tells us that we wasn't scattered for our destruction, but we were scattered for our disobedience. That's really what happened. It says Zechariah, but even then, even within our disobedience, and then these heathens, these Gentiles, wasn't supposed to, you know, mistreat us like they did. But they did. Specifically the nation of Esau, specifically the nation of Edom, Idumea, the eagle. See, these, you know, even though we were sent off for disobedience and we took our licks, these Gentiles, these nations, they went overboard with the licks. You know, they got all their licks back. They got all their revenge back. Because they were mad from the days of ancient. You know, this is why they conspired. Psalms 83, 1-6. You know, they took it overboard. This is what Yahweh says. Zechariah 1:5, prophet Zechariah 1:5 says, and I am very sore displeased with the Gentiles, the heathens that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Mass incarceration, police brutality, killing the Israelites, killing this deportation, killing these Israelites, deporting the Israelites, stealing the land, lying, you know, redlining, gentrification, mass incarceration. The list goes on and on and on. And they help forward the affliction. You know, Yahweh has some anger towards, had some anger toward these nations. Hold on. They help forward the afflictions of town nations. Oh yeah, Yahweh was angry with us, but like I said, y'all took it overboard. I don't know what chat talking about right here. It says Yahweh has some anger towards Israel and allowed discipline. That's true. But when he says when it says help forward the affliction, it says they help forward the affliction, man. Psalms 83, 1-6. Joel chapter 3. It says they help forward the affliction. It says the heathen nations went too far. You went too far. The heathen nations went too far in punishing the house of Judah and the house of Israel. And I just gave you a reason why they did it, because of the days of old, the days of ancient, how we had these nations subjugated and in subjection. You know, they still had that bitterness, that grudge. Specifically, the house of Esau, the Caucasian man, woman, and child. The Caucasian man, woman, and child. Esau, Edom, Esau. You know, it says they helped forward the affliction. The Gentile nations went too far in punishing Israel, intensifying their suffering beyond what Yahweh has intended. And when you really know the truth, you know that the suffering that we went through really wasn't what has, it really wasn't what they're saying right here, beyond what Yahweh intended. Yahweh intended it all because we deserved it. You know, Yahweh controls all spirits. So even when it says that they intensified it, you know, if you go into the days of slavery, how they used to buck break, rape your wife, steal your kids, sell your kids off. Ain't no telling what those devils used to do back then. Rape your kids, molest your kids. You know, the slave master, he did what he wanted to do on those plantations. You know, boiling people in hot oil and grease and syrup. You know, buck breaking islands and farms, and sex farms. They used to breed our people. The southern kingdom of Israel, they used to breed the southern kingdom like literally dogs, like literally animals. They had breeding farms. You know, they'd take one strong buck, one alpha strong buck, or a couple, however many alpha bucks, and breed it with this stallion or woman, or however the terminology was used. They used to breed. So all of that stuff. But even then, like I said, man, this is all of the stuff that we deserve. This is why it says, suffer patiently the wrath of the Lord that has come upon you. You know, in roughly paraphrase, in other prophecies and other scriptures, because the Israelites were going off. But, you know, they helped forward the affliction nonetheless. But, you know, Yahweh knows everything. Yahweh knows everything. He is, omnipotent, omniscient. He knows everything. So for it to say the Gentile nations went too far in punishing Israel, intensifying their suffering beyond what Yahweh intended, that would make Yahweh kind of powerless, because Yahweh knows everything. So I digress when I get into that, but that's just what it is, man. Zechariah 1:15, it says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. So just to bring it all the way back, this is why the valley of Yahawahshapat, the valley of decision, Shapat, judgment, this is why Yahweh is going to bring all these nations. He's going to pull the jaws of these nations. He's going to call the least of the flock and bring in this World War III, the Third World War, because he's going to plead for his people, as it states in Isaiah 34. What is that? Isaiah 34. The controversy of the Israelites. Who are you Israelites? You Israelites are you? The Israelites are rather you blacks, Jamaicans, Haitians, Native Indians, Blackfoot, Cherokee, Choctaw, North Seminole Indians, and you Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, you know, Aztecs, Mayans, Incas, you black and brown tribes, you are the Israelites, whose fathers go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You are the Israelites. So all of this stuff is coming. All of this great judgment is coming for what these heathens have done to the Israelites. And one particular nation is going to get it. Is going to get it the worst. Because when you go throughout the scrolls, you know, when you go throughout the scrolls, there's an antagonist and the protagonist. Just like when you watch a movie, there's the hero and the villain. And we prophets, apostles, teachers, scholars tell you all the time, the protagonist is the Israelites, and the antagonist is the Edomites. You know, they've been fighting ever since they were conceived in Rebekah's womb. Esau and Jacob and their descendants. And Esau's time is just about up. 2nd Esdras 6:9. Remember, Jacob held the hand, or Salak, he held the heel or the foot of Esau. That has great representation. That has great future eschatology. That's great future eschatology. The elder, which was Esau, shall serve the younger, which is Jacob. 2nd Esdras 6:9. For the end of the world, for Esau is the end of the world. And that's what you see right now. But Isaiah 34:5, it says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, so-called Caucasian man, woman, and child. It says, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So it's not just, you know, the Israelites are not the only ones cursed, you know, to a degree. The Edomites are cursed too. It says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So these Edomites, man, they got it coming. It says, the sword of the Lord, or Yahweh, is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, and with the fat of kidneys of rams. For the Yahweh has a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And when you do your research, your study, when the Rakah Kadash is supping with you, when that Holy Spirit is moving with you, teaching you, you'll understand the secular history and the biblical history, and you'll be able to match and put the secular history and the biblical history together. You know, Idumea, Bozrah is a capital in Idumea, Mount Seir, Petra, Jordan, all of that Caucasian land, man. Their original inhabitants. But let's grab the point. Isaiah 34:8. It says, for it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, in the year of recompenses, for the controversy of Zion. So that's what's going down. That's what's happening. That's what's going down, and that's what's happening, man. Prophecy, prophecy, prophecy. And with that, I'm going to say, call Halam La Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawahshapat, Bahashem Rakak Kadash.